Mabuhay, kapatids! My name is Stephanie.
And my name is Aimee, and welcome to the Babaylan Bruja Book Club podcast.
We have come together in efforts to decolonize our minds, our bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journey as we discuss works from honored artists, authors, and thought leaders from the Filipinx diaspora. Quick disclaimer: we want to acknowledge that everyone is consciously where they need to be.
And we are not experts, but we are sharing our own unique lived experiences. Hi, sis.
Hey, sis.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Can you show the YouTube people one time?
On my shirt.
Check out her Bruja gear. Again.
Rob bought me that for Christmas. Isn't that nice?
Who's the artist again?
Ate Ethel? Her name is Ate Ethel. Yeah, so she's clearly Filipina because of the tattoos, but it says Bruja. It's made by Ate Ethel's fond memories.
Where's she based?
Probably Cali. I'm gonna assume all my people are out there except me. I'm out here.
I know. It's okay. Reunion soon come. We're just Bruja today. I just wanted to flash a little bit. That's all.
There you go. There you go.
I got the truth teller on my throat chakra.
The
snake.
Come on. Let's go.
The snake was the truth teller. Don't shoot the messenger.
All right. You ready, sis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground. So if it is safe for you, I invite you to close your eyes and take a comfortable position and take some deep breaths. If you are driving, just try to relax your shoulders, make sure you're not clenching your jaw, and also take some deep cleansing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose again and out through your mouth. I invite you to continue to breathe slowly and deeply, but at your own pace. And imagine all of the things that you have gone through today. Take all of that energy and ground it into the earth as an offering to Mother Gaia. And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to thank Bathala for this gathering and conversation. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and invite them into our conversation today. Much respect to the ancestors of the lands that Stephanie and I reside on, knowing we cannot do our own remembrance without remembering them. For myself, that is the Shawnee, Miami, Hopewell, and Adena people in Ohio. For Stephanie, that is the Bay, Miwok, Yokut people in the Inland Bay of California. We also acknowledge and invite in our guides and source to be with us to support and guide our conversation. And we pray that they may support and guide you too. With gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, energy, and light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in. And so it is.
It is. Thank you, sister. That was beautiful.
You are welcome. Okay. Decolonizing heart check.
All right. Timer time.
Timer.
You got it.
Timer time. Am I going first or are you going first? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
Ready? Ra, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, there's a lag. Okay. Ready?
You're not gonna go. Okay.
One more time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. One more time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll just go first. I'll go first.
Our listeners are tired. Okay, go.
I'll go first. So you time me. You time
Timer.
me. Yeah.
Okay. That would be, I can count 90. Wait, it only goes to 59 seconds. Okay.
So put 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Right.
Man. Okay, are we go?
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I've been really thinking about decolonizing the way I cook. So the other day I was making food for my best friend who had eyelid surgery. Long story. Anyway, so I was organizing meals for her and I was like, I'm going to make her a meal. So I made her like this Italian soup. It's called zuppa Toscana soup.
Ooh,
Really?
that's my favorite.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. And I put it in the crock pot. Anyway, we were driving over there and I was holding this, like Rob was driving and I was holding the soup in my lap. And I was like, it dawned on me, I was like, oh my gosh, like cooking for someone is like a really intimate thing because you're literally cutting with your hands the things they're going to put inside of their mouths and bodies. Like it's so intimate. And so for me, it was like, oh my gosh, now I understand food is a love language. And that's totally a love language of like Filipino moms, etc. Right. And so I was thinking like, why don't I cook more Filipino dishes? And I was like, well, because I'm like, it takes so much time. There's so much prep. There's a lot of chopping. There's just like, it takes a long time, right? And then I was thinking also, I was like, and I never make Filipino food for anybody. I know how to cook. I can cook, but I don't usually cook for people. And I don't usually cook Filipino food at all. And so there we go. So I'm going to cook more Filipino food. Long story short. So, as a love language.
Okay. What's the first dish that you want to cook?
Oh, I made inspired by V. I made vegan kare.
What's the meat?
No meat. It was just like eggplants, green beans, and baby bok choy.
What would be the paste? Is there a vegan shrimp paste?
Oh, I don't do the shrimp paste anyway.
Oh.
So.
Kare.
Yeah, I don't know. And it was so difficult because like the sauce wasn't right. I almost cried, honestly. I was like, are the ancestors not blessing me?
Well, girl, I was thinking you're gonna say like lumpia or like adobo, but you went straight to kare. Like that's a specialty.
I said, you know what? Give me the hardest one.
You're like, I'm not making McDonald's. I'm making like 5-star Michelin dish.
Right? And then why was I like, oh, I'll make my own peanut butter?
Ooh, did you?
I didn't because they didn't have the right ingredients. And I was like, you know what? Stop being extra. Just like make it. It's fine. So, okay. Anyway, I'm taking more than a minute and 30. Okay. So your turn. Ready? And 3, 2, 1, go.
So I am decolonizing. I remembering the accessibility I have to water, to free and flowing water. So our pipe, I live in the suburbs, so there's like a main street, whatever. The city of where I live had messaged our house and was like, your pipe is leaking. So it's naturally running water and all this stuff. So we had to turn off the water. So for like at least 48 hours, it was like a wake-up call, like go to the bathroom, to like drink water, to take a shower, right? So, and I was like getting my workouts in and I really needed to take a bath. So it was just so fascinating to me that I had to like be dirty, turn on the water. Like it's literally in a concrete hole, you know, like those things covered by the concrete. And then my dad was like, you gotta turn this thing to show you that, you know, because right now I'm with my folks. So I had to put my hand in the hole, turn it on, run inside, be like mindful of my bath. So it's like it messed with my mind about like zenning in the bath, and then coming back out and it's leaking. So there's a puddle of so the hole that was like once open is like hella water, and I'm like clean. I'm out here in my robe, and I'm like, you know, fuck it. So, but I had to put my hands back in there, turn the water off, go back in, and then it was just a fiasco. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So, anyways,
that's it.
To some
It's 333 here.
ancestors are like, yeah, check your water privilege, because even when the people who were you know, fixing it naturally, I was like, I can't. It made me like, I was like telling him like, it really makes you check how much we take advantage of water. So
yeah.
Anyway, everything is fixed, everything's fine, but I'm recognizing how not necessarily colonized, but like, you know, people are doing tabo in the we had to like put water in buckets.
Yeah, yo, when the first time I visited the Philippines, oh, we're going off topic, but here we go. First time I visited, I was like 9 years old, and we visited like my family's from like a small ass fishing village, and I had to do the tabo, and it was in this concrete like bathtub in this like concrete room, like next to the pigs. Like the pigs were on the other side. Like we're from the country, and so it was so weird. And when we came home, when we came back to America, I was so appreciative of the shower. I was so appreciative of a flushing toilet that you didn't need to squat. Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, and that sounds. I would have been like, oh, I'm American. I I love a porcelain throne. Right. In this case, I don't mind being colonized. Okay. Right. So, I don't mind these mass systems making sure there's pumping water, and that's another tangent I won't get into, but like, you know.
Yeah. So we do have privilege. We do have privilege for sure.
Yes. So if y'all are listening and you take a shower, drink your water, like imagine even just 48 hours, like a day, like if that was off, what would you do? You know?
Right. So we just encourage you to do your own decolonizing heart check. What are you decolonizing this week? What have you been processing as far as that goes? And let us know, like in the comments, or
subscribe,
message us.
Yes, anything.
All right. Ready for Brown Girl Cliff Notes. Brown Girl Cliff Notes time.
But I said last thing, I'll remember. I was like, I mean, needs to be our transition boy.
And literally, Brown Girls Cliff Notes time.
We'll start. I'll beatbox and you do that. We'll practice.
Okay. It has to be a collab. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes, that's true. Collab. I like that.
All right.
Cliff notes. This chapter was juicy.
It was wild.
It was a roller coastery, reframey, rethoughtsy, like, oh fuck kind of thing. So if you want to tune into part 1, chapter 3, this chapter is called In the Mountain's Womb, Rizalista Practices as Cultural Memory, written so beautifully by Michael Gonzalez. Kind of explores and introduces, I haven't heard of before, the Rizalista practices as cultural memory. And he mentions some organizations. So here's the Brown Girls breakdown, okay? So Michael Gonzalez words and 8 years of research investigating the 2 stories of Jose Rizal for a thesis project. So this chapter explored the paradoxical reputation that Rizal, a native reformist, physician, author of books, what they call Renaissance man, and was supposedly falsely implicated in an anti-colonial revolutionary plot and and executed by the colonial Spanish authorities on December 30th of 1896. Gonzalez's work included understanding the national imaginary official, Jose Rizal, versus the perhaps unofficial, and often what the chapter kind of explores is folklore version of Jose Rizal, said to be defined by peasants, laborers, and middle-class Filipinos, and they're kind of deemed as the Rizalistas. Rizalistas is a conglomeration of various groups or sects. They're scattered all around the Philippines that see Rizal and the events surrounding his life as distinctly spiritual, sacred, and personal. Some of these associations that Gonzalez mentioned is Sagrada Familiar, bear with me, y'all, Watawat ng Lahi, Persona Solo Dios, and the Kataastaasang, Kapatiran ng Litaw ng Katalinuhan. These groups, I have the best intention of reading this. These groups have inconspicuous small churches and sanctuaries that are on the rural landscape along the Laguna and Quezon, or what they call Aurora provinces. And essentially, the chapter is kind of rife with information on the transformation of the Filipino national anthem, which was interesting, that discussion, how much it insinuates if Jose Rizal was, here's the kicker, spoiler alert, was actually the pre-colonial Philippines interpretation of Jesus. And Gonzalez felt like this was a way to light, kind of a way to remember our culture, which is, as y'all know, often is not often, it is lost in many ways, and for it to kind of keep unfolding. So there's a lot more information waiting to be retrieved and revealed, more research, more theories, and more action to come.
Yeah. So I think we should just dive in.
Okay.
We should just dive into the vocab and quotes because thank you for that summary though, sis.
Yeah, I know it's a lot, y'all, so take a breath with me. I know I said a lot. But yeah. Vocab,
here we go. Okay, so my vocab word was from page 72, and it is Katalinuhan. And your girl went to Google to find the pronunciation. So I can confidently say it is Katalinuhan, and it means wisdom. So I thought that was beautiful in itself. Like, I know, sis, you and I have had this conversation, like going through these books and like hearing the language, like I'm like, oh my gosh, our language is beautiful. So I just loved this word. It sounded beautiful. So the context from which it was pulled from in the chapter, to me, is wild. Okay. When I first started reading this, like, so everybody has heard of Jose Rizal, right? And so for him to be like,
not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody, but like, yeah.
Hopefully folks, if not, they're getting familiar now.
Right. So like, you've heard of Bonifacio, like they're like revolutionaries, people who
thanks for breaking it down.
Like, yeah, like, so they're very pro-Philippines and independence for the Philippines from Spain, right? So and Rizal is lauded, like applauded and celebrated as this great hero, even by the Americans, which is interesting, right? Yeah. So why would the other colonizers be like, oh yeah, he's good? So that makes you think. And then for him to say that there are two stories, right? And so, okay, so this is the page that Katalinuhan comes from when they're talking about wisdom, is they're talking about a ritual from one of the religious sects of Rizal.
That's sex, by the way, S-E-T-T. I know, I was like, ooh, it sounds like sex. We're saying sect.
Sect.
Sorry, sis. I guess, yeah.
I
Religious
thought,
sect.
I
Huh?
thought, I thought you said the same thing earlier when you were like sex. When you talk about the sex, and I was like,
I
oh,
know. Like, why is she saying sex all of a sudden? No, I know.
I was like, I'm 12. So anyway,
Okay.
but like this religious sect is wild. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was like just the initial reading of what they do, right? So it was the KALK. And so what happens in this particular ritual is at the Gloria, oh wait. Sorry. Anyway, they have these rituals. They're both of the sects are led by women. One of the sects has like women priests, and they like channel Rizal and stuff. And it's just like, to me, that's just like wild. I don't know why. I don't mean any disrespect, but I was like, what? And my mind was like, is this like a cult? But I don't know. That's my American brain that says that. So anyway, that's my word. And that's a little juicy tidbit of how one of the sects, these religious groups, there we go, the religious groups.
Well, the sect is called KALK, KALK, or and that actually means Kapatiran ng Litaw ng Katalinuhan, just your word. And and they have an elder that they refer to as Nanay. So okay. And you're talking about wisdom as the word. So I just finished was time wheel of
time. Wheel of time.
It's so disrespectful. But I don't want to spoil alert, but there is a main queen they call mother, Nanay. And then they're all like priestesses. So I was like, is there some Filipino writers in this creation? Because they're pulling from this. And
I don't know. But I never heard of this ever.
And the women there's some women that are known as wisdoms.
Like, wisdom in the TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're mostly wearing green, which is interesting. So anywho.
That is my word, and I am complete.
Okay. Great word, sis. Wisdom. Mine, I actually pulled from page 77. And this is called hegemony. Hegemony. And I brought that word up because it means like shit. I had it on my phone. But basically, when people trying to conquer each other, right? It's a power thing. Hegemony. It's leadership or dominance, obviously, especially by one country or social group over others. So on this page, hegemony was brought up because it's literally like the history of the Philippines. Like people just keep fucking conquering us. So I mean, damn, like it was surprising to me that our Independence Day is also in June. And I looked to my partner, I was like, look, we have a Juneteenth too. It's not the same. It's not the same. Don't come for me. I know it's not the same, but our Independence Day is June.
You said don't come.
Don't come for me. Whoever's listening later on. That's not the same. It's a joke. Okay, but it's June. It's June. What is it? June 12th, 1898. So June 12th is technically our Independence Day, y'all's. 1898, but then the fucking Americans were American, but they took over in 1902. So we couldn't even have like 5 years of our own like country, So anyways, hegemony came up because I thought it was really fascinating. There's like a section in this chapter I mentioned earlier. They talk about our national anthem and how it evolved from kind of a folklore, indigenous ways into like a national anthem. And there's some like kind of creepy analysis that Gonzalez talks about how, as you know, sis, I thought it was really interesting. The activity of it, like their way that things are, if you think of music as energy, like, and hypnosis and stuff, they purposely eliminated some pieces that are meant to like allow for us to connect spiritually or something. So it becomes more marchy like, which is, if y'all's heard our current national anthem, it's like Bayang Magiling. It's very like
okay.
Is that right? There you go. It's very like marchy, whereas the original ones are more, it sounds like ballady,
Slower, yeah, slower.
and there's an importance of a word called dalit, which is what the priestesses in the sects like Kalk did during mass or misa. So I kind of wrote like how the march eliminates this, what they call melismatic technique, a style noted to be characteristic of the dalit, a style common to religious singing. So it's like interesting like that was eliminated. So it's like our national anthem was colonized as well.
I know. Yeah.
So hegemony kind of came up for me. I was like, wow, it's an interesting, obviously reoccurring theme, but how it applies to our national anthem, which was interesting.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think, sis?
Well, if you are complete, actually that was part of my quotes, was I was gonna.
Oh, it flow. Okay.
Yeah. Look at that. We didn't even talk about that, guys. We didn't even talk about that, y'all.
It's the rock, paper, scissors energy. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Keep going.
Okay, so so quotes. My quote, I wanted to read the Sagrada version of the anthem, the Kalk version, K-A-L-K, and then the national official version, which was from 1899, which is the march style. Okay, so I'm going to read it backwards. I'm going to read the one that we know now, but the English version translation of it. So this is the one that we know now, but English. So, beloved land, pearl of the East, with fervor burning in your breast live. Land of birth, cradle of noble heroes, never must you surrender. Seas, mountains, and breezes. I know, right? Your sky ever so blue. There's beauty in the poetry and song of our beloved freedom. The glitter of your flag is a brilliant victory. The stars and sun forever shall not dim. Land of the morn, glory and love, life is heaven in you, arms. If there be an oppressor, gladly we shall die for you. So, okay.
This is why I need to head to the YouTube, because my face, if there's an oppressor, gladly we shall.
I think it's gladly we shall die for, like, the Philippines, like we shall die for you, land. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, from what I'm understanding, this was not even our national anthem until the Americans colonized us. And so technically they had a lot to do with our current national anthem.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's food for thought. Okay, so that's the one that we know now. The KALK version says, "O Philippines, land of the East, we are your servants in our love for you. Your flag is the emblem of the land that we must always defend. That is why Rizal, Mabini, and Bonifacio died and shed their blood because of you. That is why Rizal, Mabini, and Bonifacio died and shed their blood because of you. It is time now, my countrymen, to unite and be holy. Love and help each other. Do not forget our motherland." So that was the Kalk version. And then the Sagrada version goes, "Oh, our father and mother, we are overjoyed and we praise your beloved child. All our hearts give thanks to thee, to you, Almighty, that give him strength. In the brightness of your light, you gave Christ to us that we may learn the straight path, that we might hopefully obtain and adopt a new life, that we might hopefully obtain and adopt a new life." So like Steph was saying before, the Sagrada version and the Calc version are, they're actually 60 beat, the metronome speed is 60, and it's Dalit style, which is in like a psalm or a hymn, and it's slow. So interestingly enough, it's still da 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 da. It's still the same thing, but the national anthem that we know now, they just boom boom boom, they sped it up. So it's the same. It's the it's the same. They took a hymn and then they made it the national anthem and then put it to march style to like mimic military.
Yeah.
When before, when before it was a hymn, like a worship song, basically, a Dalit to the land of the Philippines. So capitalism, colonialism.
Big up songs and stuff. Damn.
So that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. And you'd be like, should I be singing this? Like,
well, I mean, isn't that the conversation about America's national anthem?
Thank you.
Right? It's also like, ooh, should we be singing it?
We were talking about this a long time ago too, sis, about like pledging allegiance to the flag.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like that. Why is that stuck in my head? Because we were doing that every day in school.
Yeah. And so I was not a citizen when I came here. I was naturalized, but I still had to have like a ceremony. And they made everyone like stand up and like put your hand on your heart. Like me, a 5-year-old. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Yeah.
And that's our most impressionable years.
I know.
So
I didn't know. I don't know. It's all good. Like, I mean, I'm here. It's working out, I guess. It is, because everything is always working out for me. But just very interesting. I did not know this. So
I didn't either. I was like, this is new, but it was really.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, wow, this is wild. I didn't even know.
It's jam-packed with like a national anthem, colonization, and like Jose Rizal being Jesus.
Right.
Which kind of brings me to, how do you feel, sis?
I am complete. Thank you.
Yeah. I battled between two. I think I'll kind of, so it comes back to Jose Rizal, the conversation on Jose Rizal and the history of Jose Rizal. So a couple things I wanted to point out that made me go, wow. So it says, like, in the Philippine context, our cultural memory was complicated by a colonialism that became the very vehicle of modernity.
Yeah, modernity.
Like modern times, thereby fragmenting the indigenous body of knowledge practices that existed prior to colonization. This is obvious, right? But the creation of Rizal can be illustrated by transposing what Gonzalez kind of painted as like a field, like a space that's semantic, which is why the whole conversation what we're having right now, like this provided context and words for us to be able to identify a field where the Babaylan narrative can be inserted.
Yeah.
So it's like a paradoxical thing that, like, you were saying like the Americans helped write our thing. Like the Americans also liked Jose Rizal, but there was actually a different version of Jose Rizal too that's considered. And so that's why I battled anyone. So I'm gonna tie it all in together here. So it says, like, the official propagation, this is on page 81, of the Rizal image during the most intense period of national identity building created a distinctively different interpretation of Rizal, one that supposedly advocated slow reform versus revolutionary uprising. One that especially the American colonial administrators and their elite collaborators had hoped would be a solidifying symbol for a modern state. Paradoxically, however, the other Rizal became reconstituted into a different symbol among the peasants and the workers, becoming a central symbol during the major social unrest and peasant labor uprisings of the 1930s, of the 1930s. I'll stop there. But yeah, it's like, so he stood for colonization and revolution in these two different lenses. And so I was wondering, like which one is it? You know what I mean? But so it's like it's both. And so anyways, it was really interesting that Gonzalez kind of tied, like he mentioned, that this is where I say, like, the truth will always be the truth. So you can't really mask that Jose Rizal existed, but it's like what context did Jose Rizal existed? Just like the Babaylan, you can't mask that the Babaylan existed, but it's also like lost. So I don't know. It's so Rizal's kind of the concept of Rizal allows for us to talk about the concept of Babaylan.
Yes. Yeah. I like how he tied that in. Can I read the thing?
Yeah.
So Gonzalez, like he kind of does a side by side. So the Babaylan is in possession of the following: healing abilities, ability to propitiate and communicate with the spirit world, leadership qualities, ability to cultivate magical objects, like anting from the last chapter, and the ability to teletransport. So he was saying that the myth or the story, or like he was kind of the other story of Rizal, he was kind of like comparing to the two. So Rizal was born mysteriously, swaddled in clothes marked Jove Rex Al. He was separated at a young age from his family to learn languages and be a healer. He was hounded by his enemies when he returned to the Philippines, but had powers that protected him from harm. He was arrested and executed by the Spaniards, but people believe it was a look-alike, and the graveside did not reveal a body, but a banana trunk. And Rizal is alive in the bowels of Mount Banahaw, Mount Makiling, and Mount Ariat, and will return to lead the army of God and redeem Filipinos. That's what I'm saying. I was like, wow, okay. So at first when I was reading that these people like were looking at Rizal like he's some spiritual mystic leader, I was like, yo, that is wild. Like, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But when Gonzalez sets up like a comparison to the pre-colonial Babaylan, and then what like Rizal represents, or the stories around it, right? Like I could understand it a little more. And also it feels like myth. You know, we were talking about myth from the last chapter. It feels like myth, but like Rizal is alive and in the mountains. Like, if I don't know if y'all know who the Lemurians are, you can Google that. You can go Google it. But the myth is that Lemurians are under Mount Shasta in California. So it felt like the same sort of situation, right? So anyway, I just thought that was interesting and helpful at the same time to see that context.
Yes, it was, again, a semantic field for us to grasp it.
Yes.
And just to kind of, I guess, add a little bit more, knowledge, practice of such those of the Babaylan, indigenous healer, were in the eyes of the Western academic discrete incidences of peasant or folk behavior. So they're like, oh yeah, Babaylan, because like, you know, the folk people say it, right? That gained historical credence only because they were inscribed in colonial reportage or historical writing. So it's kind of the same thing, like Jose the same way, because they're like, I remember I was reading, I was like, is he Jesus? Like, is he pre-colonial Jesus? And then it was like, discuss the next page. So it's a lot of like hearsay or discernment, I guess. You can decide what feels right, but there are powers in place that have been writing it off like, that's what they say. I even sit in family circles, or like I've had my parents or be like, oh, that's what the elder folks say, but it's like, So is it real?
Yeah, like maybe it is. But yeah, where you landed about, I underlined that whole part too on page 81, where you landed about like there's one story of Rizal that is propagated by the American colonial administrators because they wanted to advocate for slow reform versus revolutionary uprising. So it's interesting to me that Americans said, yeah, okay, I get it, but let's do it slower and not so crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Okay, hot take says, and this is
Yeah.
all. Do you think he's alive? Do you
Oh,
think he really died? Do you think he really went to the crocodile's belly?
I don't know. Like I literally I'm like, but when I first read it, I was like, nah, this is wild. No, that's crazy. But the more I read it and understood it as something spiritual, like the Babaylan, and how like everybody, all the modern historians, American historians, were looking at the Babaylan and like, no, they're not real.
Mm-hmm.
And then so, and they're also like, yeah, this story of Rizal isn't real, but I know the Babaylan are real. And so who's to say?
It's a big ass maybe.
Yeah.
It's like the same question of like, is Tupac still alive?
Right. Maybe. He's alive somewhere.
Maybe. Right. And then think of, again, I'm referring to Wheel of Time because I just finished it, but people can hide, like people can be reborn.
Mm-hmm.
This dragon reborn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and maybe he was like, I'll take the plunge and I'll just be reborn in the mountain, in one of these mountains. I want to go there, sis. Can we go?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go, Babaylan Brujas.
Y'all want to come? I mean, they said that someone was going to come, and what was the line you said? To bring the Filipinos back or something?
Yeah, I don't. Oh yeah.
Quote or word? I forgot, sis. But
it was a quote. Oh yeah, he will return to lead the army of God and redeem the Filipinos.
Listen, that doesn't insinuate go visit the mountain. I don't know what to say. So we can find out. And if he appears, he does it. If he does, somebody will channel.
I mean, like, so do you are you landing on maybe as well? Do you think he?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so
okay,
it's a slight rabbit trail. Do you think the Lemurians are underneath Mount Shasta?
I think there's some type of ancient advanced civilization that is like waiting for reactivation or something, or they could be existing already. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, damn, like you look at like Wakanda, right? Like they look like a regular thing, and then they flew through a force field, and then
Wakanda forever.
Rest in peace. Yeah. But yeah, so I just it's a big maybe, sis.
Yeah,
find out. Let's go.
Let's go to Mount Shasta and Mount Banahao. I'm down. Who wants to go? Drop comment in the comment below.
We really could make this happen though. I'm serious. But anyways.
But yeah, and then
God willing, with Allah willing.
With Allah willing. Okay, so this is my last thing and then I'm complete. Okay. So when you ask like, do you believe Rizal is still alive? Like, and then I thought to myself as I was talking, I was like, I believe, I don't know, that Jesus didn't die and he rose from the dead. So why is it a stretch to think Rizal also? Why is it a stretch to think that anybody couldn't do that? Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
That's why Jesus died, right? To show us that we
could.
Yeah, death is not permanent. Yep. So
yeah.
Food for thought.
Lots of hot takes in this one, guys. Take a lot of breaths. So
I know. And we were going quicker. Look at us.
Are you proud? Babaylan Brujas.
We listened, under an hour.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Okay. You feel complete, sis?
I do. Do you?
I do. I think I invite y'all to think about that. Given that Jesus was a man of this story, and they're saying Jose Rizal could have been the man of the similar story. Same type of themes that an individual or hero faces, right? Like, why couldn't he die and come back? Who knows? That's what they call it, the crocodile's belly. Shout out to Tita Ate Lenny. You know, like, they're back. That's what this conversation is for.
Yes, who's back? Yeah.
Anywho, okay. That was a lot of energy. So I invite y'all to take me and Amy out your aura when you're done listening to this. Discern for yourself. Take or toss.
Yes.
Call back your energy. Clean yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, especially with this closeout prayer. So as you all know, we always end our container with this conversation with gratitude. And we bring recognition and honor to our ancestors and the ancestors of the lands we occupy. Thank you for joining our conversation today. And as always, Amy and I leave you with the blessing. May you continue to cultivate and strengthen connection with your inner knowing, your pakikiramdam that has led you here. May the Nuno, the ancestors, your guides of the seen and unseen, continue to guide and protect you. May community and kapwa grow in your heart. And until we meet again, may you know that all is well and will be well. And no matter what happens, you are loved.
Bye. That one was good. I felt it. Did you feel it? I felt it. Okay.
Yay!